Another white kid dead. Two more of the fellas holding the gun. This was during a sales transaction for an iPhone 7. The white kid thought he'd take a walk on the wild side by leaving his very safe and secure suburban home in Richmond and heading on down to the black side of town because that's where the fellas wanted to meet up to buy his phone. Let's see how that turned out.
He was a young guy who grew up in the small town of New Kent, but Joshua Gray had big dreams.
He wanted to be a model, and I mean, he had, we don't all have the looks that he had, and so he had really embraced that and started down that path.
That personality, his parents believe, is why he didn't fear coming to the city's East End off Mechanicsville Turnpike to sell his iPhone 7. Police say it was there, where Gray was killed in cold blood.
And I just don't know what justice means. What is justice? Here we are. We've got teenagers out here with guns, and that's crazy.
15-year-old Tyshawn Andrews and 17-year-old D'Amico Pressy Robertson are both charged with murder and multiple other felonies, including attempted robbery, meaning the Commonwealth now has a case that could turn capital.
It's every parent's worst nightmare, and one the Grays never imagined would happen to them. But on September 17th, they received the call they'll never forget.
It truly is the worst phone call a parent can receive.
A state of disbelief and shock took over Michael and Diane Gray when they received that news from police.
That's when he told us that, Josh had been shot and passed.
Their fun-loving, always smiling son wouldn't be coming home.
Vibrant, lived every day, loved the water. He's a beautiful child inside and out.
With big dreams that were cut short.
He wanted to model. He wanted his name and face to be out there.
Now, his family is just left with photos and memories.
This is who I'm going to miss. That first few days was numbness, shock. This is not possible. And you just expect them to call or come through the door. It's unbelievable.
It's not any easier with the people responsible behind bars.
Their lives have been ruined. I can't imagine what their families are going through. They've lost family members just as much as Josh.
And his parents just want to see a change.
This is just not happening to us or to our family. It's happening every single day.
This is such an awful story. Maybe it's time to break one of our rules. Why don't we offer an explanation as to why those two black people lured that white kid into their neighborhood so they could rob him and kill him?
We got to get guys employed. We got to get people employed, Skip. Because if you don't have money and you want something nice, either I got one or two ways. I sell drugs or I go steal it or I go take it. Those are my two options, because I see Rolexes and I see Mercedes and I see nice things and I want them, but I don't have a job and I don't have opportunity and means to get it. So if I want it, I'm going to go get it.
Meanwhile, out in Cleveland, the moms in Cleveland are getting pretty fed up with the little fellas constantly being caught by the cops when they break the law. So they thought they'd have a nice little protesting against the cops who are constantly finding their little fellas robbing, stealing, killing people wildly out of proportion. Yeah, they call that police brutality.
A group of mothers of children killed in violence gathered today to demand better community policing and more police accountability. Channel 3's Leon Bibb has details now on that rally. Leon, good evening.
Good evening. The group of Cleveland area mothers took their protests and allegations of police brutality and other acts of violence to the steps of the Cuyahoga County Justice Center and within sight of Cleveland Police Headquarters. It was there several people whose sons were killed by police over the last several years voiced their complaints. The families responded to the proposed community policing plan from Cleveland Police. Among the speakers were Brenda Bickerstaff, whose brother was killed by police 16 years ago, and Alicia Kirkman, whose son was killed 11 years ago. Also there was Samaria Rice, whose son Tamir, at age 12, was killed by police gunfire 4 years ago. It was a much reported and highly controversial incident, which was detailed nationwide. The women said what they wanted was more Cleveland police accountability and stronger educational requirements for incoming officers, and more.
The police cannot be against the community, and that's what we've been experiencing for the last 70 years.
Wow, it's only been happening for 70 years? I thought it was 7,000. I thought it was 7 million. So somehow back in 1948 and 47 and 46, this whole black-white thing was all just fine. Black people were not breaking the law wildly out of proportion back in the day. Cops were just not catching them breaking the law back in the day, not like today. When it seems like cops catch a lot of black people breaking the law, they put them in prison. But now we know that's all about white racism. It's all about police brutality. But above all, it's all about protesting like this and not making the black kids angry.